The rematch between Emmanuel Navarrete and Oscar Valdez promises to deliver fireworks once again. Navarrete's awkward style and relentless energy will clash with Valdez's grit and calculated approach. With both fighters vowing to leave everything in the ring, fans are bracing for a battle that could redefine their legacies. Navarrete may have the edge, but Valdez's determination ensures this will be no easy fight. Emmanuel Navarrete has always been a puzzle in the ring, and his unorthodox style continues to be his greatest weapon. He acknowledges that his punches may appear poorly thrown, but that unpredictability is precisely what gives him an edge. Navarrete stated that it's this technical unpredictability that will help him take down Valdez once again.
Well, I refer to my style, the style that I offer. It's a disorderly style. I lunge a lot. Some punches are poorly thrown. And with Valdez, he's a little bit more calm, more technical, more solid. And so from a boxing appreciation standpoint, that could incline, that's why it would incline him, people to see it that way, the result. And so that's what I'm referring to, not anything else extraordinary that I have. I don't think nothing. I think it's something normal. There's a reason people are seeing it that way. Fortunately, I mentioned this in another interview, but there are qualities of Valdez. There are attractive qualities of his style. And so I can agree with that. Visually, it looks good, looks technical. So that may tilt the balance in his favor. And that's why people are thinking that. But I'm calm because the part that people don't see that I do well, or that they don't see well in me, is one of my biggest strengths. And so I'm going to take advantage of that in that fight. And it's going to help tilt the balance in my favor.
Adding to his confidence is Navarrete's track record of relentless energy. As LT Boxing noted, Navarrete fights like a wild man, throwing everything he has into every round. This unpredictability leaves opponents guessing and struggling to adapt to his constant onslaught.
Now, when I look at Emmanuel Navarrete and what he brings to the table, this guy, I would just describe him as like a wild man. You'll just see him race across the ring and throw a lead uppercut, and then he'll follow it up with 2 jabs, and then he'll just land to the body. Like, this guy throws every single shot that you can imagine in his arsenal. He'll throw overhand shots, he'll throw hooks to the body, jabs, straights. Literally every punch in his uppercuts are another big weapon of his that he uses very successfully. You saw that against Isaac Dogbill. That was another huge weapon. And his uppercuts are just vicious, and he throws them such far away, and they're so unique. The way he just throws shots in general, he throws these sweeping hooks. So they're really hard to get away from. And the way he fights is just very unpredictable. And he's an all-out offensive juggernaut. Combinations, if you stand there, he's going to hit you with like 6 shots. So it's unbelievable just the work rate this guy has. He has a chin as well. I've seen him get hurt in his last fight. He got rocked. I thought he was done, came back, ended up stopping his opponent, Liam Wilson.
Madiba echoed this sentiment, emphasizing Navarrete's ability to overwhelm opponents with awkward angles and a long reach, which often leads to devastating knockouts.
And based on styles, this is a guaranteed war and has the potential to be a fight of the year and a modern classic. I like both fighters, but I have Oscar Valdez winning this, either by decision or by knockout. The reason why I chose Valdez is because Valdez has the style and abilities to exploit the weaknesses and tendencies of Navarrete. Navarrete is a hard-hitting, awkward pressure fighter. His unique style complements his unique body type. Navarrete has an extremely long reach at 72 inches, which he utilizes to his advantage. He usually starts off his fights slow behind an awkward long jab, which then allows him to set up his offense and push the pace. Navarrete is able to sneak uppercuts and a variety of other punches from weird and awkward angles that often catches his opponents off guard. This makes him hard to predict, which often leads his opponents to get overwhelmed and either beat up real bad or knocked out.
While Navarrete respects Valdez's skills, he's quick to highlight his own advantages. Navarrete acknowledged that Valdez is prone to injuries, such as his past broken jaw, which could give Navarrete an opening. Yet the reigning champion remains grounded, stating he won't live in a fantasy world, but will instead let his performance speak for itself.
Advantage, not really. I think, however, though, that we're at similar stages in our career. I have 40 fights as a pro. He has maybe about 31 fights. And so I think in that perspective, it's important to mention that I have more fights than he does. It's important. And it's not just 1 or 2. Basically, it's about 10 that I have more than he as a professional. And, perhaps those fights generated less experience, but more punishment. And so maybe we're 50-50 in that regard. But when it comes to the fights of Valdez, I have knocked out a lot of people. Not many have gone to a decision like Valdez's fights have. And in that regard, maybe I have an advantage. He has received more punishment, more precise punishment, because they've broken his jaw. He has been, cut with punches. And in that regard, I feel better. I've had no fractures or cuts, maybe one headbutt on the top part of my head, but no cuts. And so, with regard to his jaw being broken, I think I have a light advantage.
Oscar Valdez enters the rematch with a chip on his shoulder, determined to prove his worth after the first fight. Known for his powerful left hook, Valdez has the tools to deliver a knockout blow. LT Boxing highlighted Valdez's ability to set up devastating body shots, which could create opportunities to exploit Navarrette's occasional defensive lapses.
Now, look at Oscar Valdez. For me, a big key for him is he's going to want to set up a jab to the body, which will lead that left hook to the head and let that land a lot easier if he sets up these body shots. Because you've seen, for example, look at the fight versus Baez, even Liam Wilson, Emmanuel Navarrete was getting touched with the jab to the body. Also, body work in general, Baez had a lot of success against Emmanuel Navarrete. So I think that if Valdez can go to the body early on Emmanuel Navarrete, then that means he's going to be able to set up some of those shots that he likes to go upstairs and connect with. And I find that that's one thing that Valdez does sometimes, is he goes crazy on the left hook trying to finish guys when they're hurt.
Valdez's focus this time around is to capitalize on Navarrete's mistakes, as noted by the good fella. However, the analyst also warned that Navarrete has a tendency to retaliate with double the intensity, making Valdez's task even more challenging.
It's pretty much going to be Valdez, trying to capitalize on Navarrete's mistakes. It's going to boil down to, can Navarrete take Valdez shots? And if he can't take shots, Valdez power, then can Valdez take his power? And if it come down to a fight of attrition, we know Valdez then fought with a broken jaw, I believe. We know Navarrete and got off the floor. It's just really a pick 'em fight, to be honest. I think Valdez has fought the better competition, quite frankly.
Despite these challenges, Valdez's grit and resilience cannot be overlooked. Brian Fonseca expressed confidence in Valdez's ability to fight smarter this time, suggesting that his strategic adjustments could tip the scales. Valdez himself has promised to fight with everything he has, stating that Navarrete will know he's in a dogfight early on. His determination to bounce back from the first loss adds another layer of intrigue to this rematch.
The champion, who is an underdog, which you don't get a lot in boxing, especially with someone of his resume, three-way world champion, prolific power puncher, very much a wild card in terms of his conditioning, which it almost bit him in the ass against Liam Wilson. But I've been leaning more often just Oscar Valdez wins this by decision. I just trust his boxing ability more. I think that he's going to fight a smarter fight.
The rematch has divided opinions among boxing experts. Chris Welcham predicts a repeat of the first fight, with Navarrete dominating after the early rounds and possibly securing a knockout. Welch, however, also acknowledged Valdez's ability to win the first few rounds, emphasizing that the fight could take an unexpected turn if Valdez capitalizes on those early moments.
And in terms of the main event, Emmanuel Navarrete versus Oscar Valdez. Don't be the same as the first fight, isn't it? Don't be the same as the first fight, but I think it'll be more conclusive this time. And I think Navarrete will be done for the knockout. He will be done for the knockout. Navarrete, he made that step up, didn't he? He made that step up to the lightweight in his last fight against Dennis Berichet, and he lost some split decision. He shouldn't have lost some split decision. He should have lost on the unanimous decision, because for me.
On the other hand, Brian Fonseca leaned slightly toward Valdez, citing his ability to adapt and fight smarter. Fonseca also acknowledged that Navarrete's strength and reach make him a tricky opponent, creating an interesting dynamic between the two fighters.
Emmanuel Navarrete not only has the strength advantage, in my opinion, but has a 6-inch reach advantage, which I think is going to be a very interesting thing for Oscar Valdez to navigate. And Manuel Navarrete also is just somebody who's relentless. Like, even though he doesn't look like he's in tip-top shape, he's somebody who is going to come at you for 12 rounds. He's going to turn this into a brawl as much as he can. Oscar Valdez, I think, is going to feed into that a little bit and give up some rounds in the process. But ultimately, Oscar Valdez, who has been dropped
Chantelle Chan pointed out that Navarrette's boxing record speaks for itself, making him a formidable challenge for anyone in the ring.
Yeah, this one's a really interesting fight. I went back and forth on it a lot. I actually am just making my decision now because I think both of these guys have a really good chance to win. And when you take a look at Emmanuel Navarrete, the way that Top Rank has been pushing him, now I'm not talking about conspiracies here, but do they want him to lose? I don't think so. Like the way that they have been pushing this guy, because you take a look at his characteristics and how good he is in the ring. Like he is relentless. He's going to walk you down. He's going to throw a lot of punches. His work rate is unreal. He gets hit a lot though. Like he gets hit a lot and his conditioning is a question, but he's so fun to watch. As for Oscar Valdez, I mean, we've seen what he could do.
At the same time, Madiba argued that Valdez's power and resilience give him a legitimate chance to turn the tables in this rematch. With such diverse perspectives, it's clear that this fight has captured the imagination of fans and experts alike.
On the caliber of Valdez and Navarrete, and based on styles, this is a guaranteed war and has the potential to be a fight of the year and a modern classic. I like both fighters, but I have Oscar Valdez winning this, either by decision or by knockout. The reason why I chose Valdez is because Valdez has the style and abilities to exploit the weaknesses and tendencies of Navarrete.
Navarrette's unpredictability and relentless energy are his greatest strengths. His ability to throw punches from awkward angles makes him a nightmare to defend against. LT Boxing emphasized that Navarrette's wild, high-energy approach often leaves opponents overwhelmed, unable to keep up with his pace. Additionally, Navarrette's long reach allows him to land shots from unexpected distances, adding another layer of difficulty for his opponents.
When we look at Oscar Valdez, his key weapon is that left hook to the head. Vicious, that's a shot he's going to finish someone with. He knocks people out all the time with that left hook. His left hook to the body is also a very good weapon that he possesses. Overhand right is also in his arsenal as well. And Valdez, when I look at him under Eddie Reynoso, who trains, of course, Canelo Alvarez, you look at him, I think that he's really improved the defense of Oscar Valdez, and you'll see Oscar Valdez pivot. He'll do side-to-side movements and things like that defensively that he was never doing before. And he seems to be picking his spots more and being more accurate of a puncher under Eddie Reynoso. Those are some improvements that I think Oscar Valdez has basically really stepped up on. And also the way he sets up that left hook, he's a lot more patient than he used to be earlier on in his career.
However, Navarrette's aggressive style can also leave him vulnerable. As the good fella pointed out, his unorthodox movements create openings that a disciplined fighter like Valdez can exploit. Valdez's powerful left hook and ability to deliver well-timed body shots are significant threats that could expose Navarrette's defensive gaps.
But, I just see this fight, being a war. I mean, I think it's on regular ESPN. You hope something like this would be on regular ESPN. If Valdez, can he capitalize off Navarrete mistakes? That's what it boiled down to. We've seen Navarrete get hurt. We've seen him on the canvas, but kind of remind you of Terrence Crawford a little bit. When he get touched, he get hurt, or he get touched, he mean. He like to get you back. So he like to go into war. He a real awkward fighter. He's gonna throw a lot of punches without, trying to be defensive responsible. We do things awkward. Valdez is the more polished fighter. Throw good body shots. Got good athleticism, but he been through the ringer. He definitely the more shop-worn fighter, no doubt about it. Broken jaws, tough fights.
This rematch is about more than just redemption or dominance. It's about legacy. For Navarrete, a victory would solidify his standing as one of the most unpredictable and exciting fighters in boxing today.
I don't know. We won't know until the fight starts. So we will have to see, how the fight takes place. In that aspect, when I throw the punch, we're gonna, we don't know if he's gonna be able to land with his shot. So we don't know, and I think we might get too ahead of ourselves if we think about that.
As Chris Welchup pointed out, a second win over Valdez would remove any doubt about Navarrete's superiority, proving that the first fight was no fluke.
And I think I do feel he's dominated the fight. I really do. As much as the first fight was slugfest, I think at best Oscar Valdez will only win probably a couple of rounds at best, 3 rounds at best. I expect Navarrete to be on it and beat him more conclusively. Valdez hasn't been knocked out before. He hasn't been knocked out. so he's still tough. He is still tough, Oscar Valdez, but I think Navarrete will just completely outbox him, just like he did in the first fight. I think Navarrete will retain his WBO World Super Featherweight title, and I'd love Navarrete to win by unanimous decision on points.
Both fighters have a lot to gain, but the stakes are especially high for Valdez, who needs this win to cement his place among boxing's elite. For Navarrete, the goal is to maintain his dominance and continue his reign as one of the most exciting champions in the sport. Who will emerge victorious in this electrifying rematch? Will Emmanuel Navarrete's unpredictability and power secure another win, or will Oscar Valdez's resilience and grit turn the tide? Share your predictions in the comments below and subscribe to Punch Hub for exclusive updates, expert analysis, and post-fight breakdowns. Don't miss a single moment of this epic clash.